Hi, I'm PGodin. I'm an instructor with ICT. My background is structured cabling and electronics. And the videos we're going to produce today have to do with fiber optics. Okay, we're going to do another demo today. We're going to demo a fusion splicer. And I want to just start off with showing you the cable that we're actually using. So this is a Corning optical cable. So optical fiber non-metallic riser rated here. There's 48 single mode fibers located in here. Now this is actually a cable designed for outdoor applications or applications where there's a lot of temperature variation. So what I've done is I kind of pre-cut the jacket here so we can pull this away and we can take a look at all the various layers. So here you can see that we actually have a ripcord, and the ripcord is actually designed to help you pull away jacketing. We have filler in here as well to keep a round shape, and we also have wrapped around here is some water blocking tape. So when this stuff gets wet, it actually expands into a gel. So it's designed to repel water. You don't want water in your fiber cable. Here you can see the tubes themselves, and the tubes are wrapped around a central strength member. So the central strength member is to keep the cable fairly rigid because you don't want extra bends in your fiber cable. So this is kind of like a carbon composite or fiberglass material, which is designed to kind of stay straight. So kind of compare it to a fishing rod. What you see here are the four buffer tubes here, and there's actually a filler tube in here as well. This black one here is actually just a piece of plastic to help keep the cable shape. So all of this stuff, normally when you're preparing the fiber, you would cut all of this stuff away as well as the central strength member. Now what's left here are the four tubes, and these four tubes follow standard color code. If you know your color code, blue, orange, green, and brown. So there's the four colors right there. Within these tubes are actually fibers. So on the other side here, I've got a couple of the tubes kind of broken open, and you can see that they're actually filled with fiber. So the fibers themselves, this is core, cladding, and coating only. So the fiber does not have its own buffer tube. They're all put together in this loose tube. And you can see there's also a little bit of water repelling material in here in these tubes as well, because the tubes are hollow to hold the fiber. So they allow the fiber to expand and contract inside here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to fusion splice this fiber. So I'm going to go ahead and I've already pulled out a couple of fiber strands here. So here's a blue one. I don't know how well that's going to show. So let me put a little white there. So there's a blue one there, and I brought an orange one over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and splice those two fibers together. So before you get started with any stripping or splicing, you should always wear your safety glasses and be aware of all the safety rules, which means no food or drink in the lab environment. And you want to prepare yourself a disposal area. So I have my favorite is a black tape, black electrical tape. I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece off of that, and I'm going to position some tape on here backward like this, just so that I have a disposal area prepared. Because whenever you're stripping fiber, there's the real risk of breaking the fiber, and that happens no matter how much experience you have. You still manage to break the fiber at times. So I've got that disposal area set up over here. I've got my fiber over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and strip this off. These strippers we looked at in an earlier video, they're pretty awesome. They have kind of 3 different layers. We're using the smallest one. We want to take away the coating layer, which is going to leave behind the core and the cladding. So I don't know how well it shows on the black there, but let's show it on the white here. And I want to take away about that much, because what we're going to do after this is we're going to put it inside a cleaver. So I'm going to take away about that much right there, and I'm going to give that a bit of a wipe. So I've got a little bit of iso alcohol over here. Let's put a few drops of that on my tissue here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull fairly hard on the fiber. You can't really break fiber easily by pulling it. So it's a good idea to give it a good, strong pull. So there you're going to have the fiber itself. I don't know if you can see that, but there's the coating has been taken off. So there you have core and cladding. Now this is just glass, so it's very sensitive. You got to be careful not to scratch it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position it inside a cleaver. So cleaver, this is one of our cleavers here. This is a Fitel cleaver, and this one is a pretty automatic type of cleaver. We had older models here as well. This is a different model that we had. that we've used for many, many years. So these are cleavers, and what they're designed to do is to actually cut the fiber in a very straight line. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and if you see inside here, it may be hard to see, but there's a little cutting wheel right about there. You can see a little bit of a shine right there. And what that does is it's going to automatically put a little scratch in the glass, and then part of the action is actually going to hammer this piece down onto the glass and to cause it to try to break in a straight fashion at 90 degrees. So, so we're going to go ahead and position that in here. And this is where the length does matter now. We're going to cut away, obviously it's going to cut away or break away any of the unused glass. So I've got a little stop over here, and it's actually set up for exactly the right distance for my fusion splicer. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up and prepare it. So now you can see it actually has a little disposal area, so the little extra glass has gone away. But obviously you want to visually check to make sure there's no loose strands of fiber anywhere. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this fiber out of here. So now we've got the fiber actually cleaved to the appropriate length for the fusion splicer. So again, if you can see that right there. So I don't want to touch the end here. I don't want to damage that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and move my fusion splicer in front of the camera. And this particular one is made by Optical. And I'll show you the screen here in a moment. But I want to go right to the end here to show you where we're positioning the fiber. So right there. So there's two little tables here that hold the fiber in place. And you can see right in between them are two probes. These are the electrodes through which they're going to pass a current and a little bit of an arc to melt the surface of the glass. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to position the fiber in here right about there. So I don't know if you can see that on camera, but that is just short of the halfway mark. And the halfway mark is the 2 points of those metal probes right in the middle there. So I'm going to position that in place right there, right now. And I've closed this little door here to hold it in that position. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prepare the other side, the other fiber. But before I do so, I need to do one extra thing. So let me move this back in here. So there's my second fiber I want to splice to. And I have here what's called a splice sleeve. So the splice sleeve is actually, it's a piece of heat shrinkable tube with a metal rod in it. So it's actually quite stiff. Remember, when glass is exposed without the coating layer on it, it's actually quite sensitive to scratches, and it actually breaks fairly easily. These fusion splices are really good optically, they're really poor mechanically. So we need this mechanical protection in place. So I'm going to go ahead and position that here first before I prep this second fiber. And then I'm going to go ahead and strip this. And again, I'm just kind of eyeballing approximately the length of it. You're going to be cleaving off the end anyway, so it's not that critical how long it is. You just don't want it too long to go into the tool. So we'll bring the Optical tool back in play here, right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this in the tool till it stops. If you can see that, it kind of stops right there. And I'm going to close that, push the button, and it is cleaved. Okay, so again, I've got a good cleave. Hopefully this is a good cleave. And I'm going to go ahead and reposition this in my fusion splicer. So this is obviously going to come in from the other side. So I'm going to drop it in there. I don't want to push it in. I don't want to damage the ends of this fiber. So let me just reposition it just a little bit here. Let's reposition this one. There, I think we're good now. So I don't know if you can see that, but the distance between the two fibers is approximately 1 millimeter, and they're equidistant from that kind of that center line that's drawn by those two probe points. So I should be ready now, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and close this cover. So the cover itself, there's a little slot on either side. You can't quite see it in the camera here, but I want to make sure that the fiber can move, because the device actually is going to move the two fibers together. So I'm going to pull this back now. We're going to look at the screen. Now this is a pretty cool unit. It's actually a fairly old fusion splicer, but we've maintained it fairly well over the years and served us quite well. And a lot of the new ones operate very much this way. So what you see on the camera screen here is an X and Y, because there's two cameras in here that will look at the X and Y coordinates for those two fibers, because they have to make sure that the fibers themselves, the cores, are aligned in all dimensions. So I'm going to go ahead and push play, and you're going to see it automatically trying to align everything. So there you see the two fibers, and you can see they're not quite aligned, and it does move those tables automatically to align it. And now it's getting ready for a fusion splice. Let's have no trouble with this one. And there we go. So, it took a little while to get it in line, but it managed to do it. It is single mode fiber, SM over here. It sees a loss. This is just a visual test. It's not really doing a full test through the fiber. It's just looking at it visually to see if there's any imperfections in the glass, and it looks really good. So, so the splice is complete. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the door, and it has to do one other test, and it's called a tension test, and you'll see it say it up here. It tries to pull the fibers apart, so it does a kind of a quick little test just to make sure they're strong enough to actually be moved. So there's a tension test, and I have to let it kind of finish its tension test. And there we go. So we have the beep, and I go ahead and actually remove the fiber. So let me move this forward again, and I'll show you how to remove the fiber like this. So now you can see that those two fibers are actually attached. Now, I've got a couple of other steps I have to do, and one step is I need to pull this, this splice protector to the fiber. Do not push fiber through these things. You always pull the fiber. If you push the fiber, you'll break it. So I'm going to pull it through, and making sure it doesn't get caught on the other end here. And try to get it to about center right there. So I've got about halfway right in the middle here. And what I'm going to do now is I need to shrink this tubing onto the fiber. So the very back of the unit here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, right there, is actually a heat shrink oven. So I'm just going to put that in there, close this up, and there's a button at the very front, right here, and I'm going to go ahead and push that, and it shows a little symbol here that's actually going through that. This will take roughly a minute. So while we're doing that, I want to talk about the splice tray. So let that kind of finish off. It'll beep at us when it's done. This is a splice tray. They come in various styles. So what this is designed to do is hold fiber optic splices in place. So this is kind of rubbery here. So what we're going to do is when we're done, we would insert our fiber splice in here. You must do this. The fiber splices are not tough enough to stand on their own. They must be contained within a splice tray of some type. So normally what you would do is you would have your fiber coming in here like this. You would tie wrap these tubes in, and then you would of course have all the stripped fiber here. And normally you'd leave almost a meter of fiber here, and you'd wrap it around. You can see the lip here. You'd wrap it around inside here for servicing, because obviously you need to be able to take the fiber from here to your equipment to work on and then put it back again. So that's why you would store extra fiber kind of on the perimeter inside this splice tray right here. So that's what these holes are for. And then after you're done, this cover would actually slide over top. So this is just one style. There are many different styles. There's larger and smaller units like this. But again, just remember your splice is not strong enough to be able to handle the real world without a splice tray. So the unit is now finished. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out of here. And it's a little bit sticky, and it's still a little bit warm, but there we go. We've got a fusion splice, and I don't know if you can kind of see that, but there you can see the glass up to here and up to there. So now we would position that inside our splice tray like this. Just push it in, and we're done. There we go.